Good evening, how everyone doing today? God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma J of Spiritual Divine. I'm here to give you a short news and a word on tonight. Now we're gonna be talking about Israel war. Now the last time we have houses was released was in November of 23. So the family with loved ones still being held. You know, Nick Trent Tanner, I can't pronounce his name, but he urged for do all that he to make a deal. To make a deal with Haslam after he claimed that Israel is a terror group. A cause of victory by the terror group. Now the last Hodges was released. Oh, November 23. We ready for some more for all of them to be released. They got a remaining 136 Hodges. So we want Hodges to be relieved and safe. The deal is prisoner exchange before we give any money until all hostages are released and safe. So we're gonna do the exchange. We're gonna do the exchange. Exchange for the hostages to be released and safe. And they're gonna exchange for money. So we need the hostages. They've been there long enough since October last year. So that's on the Hodges, release the Hodges. So Flint water crisis. Now this water crisis had been going on for a long time. A long time. Flint water crisis, human-made public health crisis from 2014 to 2016. Involving the multiple water supply system of Flint, Michigan. So the Flint water crisis, was public healthy crisis, so that started in 2014. The drinking water for the city, Flint, Michigan, was contaminated with lead and possible bacteria. So this crisis was exposed. It was exposed to danger level to lead. Outbreak of disease. People were outbreaking. There was what a disease, there was killed. At least 12 people was killed in this sickness, dozen more. So we have to get this fixed, this been going long enough. And you have to have clean water or people will get sick and die. So Flint water finance emergency in the city and for the next 2 years. Executive power in Flint was wielded by manager selected by Governor Eagle. So Governor Eagle selected manager, and Governor Ricky Sanders appointed unelected emergency, manager to run the city. So those managers who reported directly to Michigan State Treasury Department, but not to citizen to Flint. So the city water supplies from the Detroit Water and Susan Department. So this change was made in April of 2014. Because a resident immediately had registered their concern about this water quality. So we have two governors. This was the confusion came in. You had two governors. Eagle, he selected a manager, and you had Rick. He appointed an elect, emergency manager. But nobody communicate with each other. And they made changes on it. One group reported it, but they didn't report it to the right person. So you had to communicate. What confusing? So we won't have no confusion. The change was made in 2014. It was reported, but not to the citizen to Flint. What we need to do is get alignment. Selected a manager on this project. Select one manager on this project because we had to get alignment. back on the same page to get this project fixed. So make sure, you fix whatever needs to be fixed, because this is clean water. This is something serious, and been lingering on since 2014, so it reported but not to clean. For some kind of way, whoever they reported, somebody should have reported to Citizen Flint. They should have still had reported. They should have reported. So from 2014 to now, we in 2024, and this water, we still having crisis with this water. So we need to fix this water crisis. So when we on the same alignment and one group of a contract, to fix this water, so meaning by the end of this year, this crisis should be fixed, and it should have clean water. You have a whole lot of time, to have clean water. It shouldn't take, so by the end of this year, it should have some clean water. In the meantime, you should get on the alignment, on the same page. You should let somebody know in the department that you got somebody working on this project, because we got to have clean water. We're not going to let this linger on years after year. Because this has been 2014 and we're in 24 now. So it have to be done. So that's the crisis of the water. And we talk about the release, the hostages for the exchange, prisoner exchange. So now we're going to talk about Moses' sister. And Aaron got a problem with Moses because Moses have this kind of personal connection with God. He connect with Moses, and they claiming why he not talking to no one else. It have 2 million Israelites. God cannot talk to all 200 million. That's just why you have a manager. So you won't keep on calling the head manager or the head owner for every situation. You have one manager, everybody goes to her. So that's how it is. God can't answer 200 million, 2 million people. So and they're important too. They got big position. So Numbers chapter 12, 1 through 16. So Miriam and Aaron, Moses' brother and sister, don't like how Moses is leading the Israelites. They began to talk against Moses because of his Cusan wife and who he married. Now, it's not really about Moses' wife. It's not really about Moses' wife. It's about Moses' position, and how he run it. They can say, they can run it better, and try to try to please God. But she probably could run it better. But God had chose Moses, and Moses tried to get out of it. God would not let him get out of it. So he gonna be sit there in that position until he mess up, or get old. So Moses didn't have a Huey wife. He didn't have a Huey wife, because remember he was with Pharaoh and he left and he met these women on an island in the wilderness. That's how he married it. The man had given him his wife because he was a good person and he was helping them out. Now, because he had lived with the Egyptians for 40 years, of his life, and he was in the wilderness. So when his sister and Aaron criticized Moses, they represent the prophet and the priest, because see, they have good positions. They have one. Aaron is a priest, And then the sister, she's a prophecy. So they both have communication with God. But something about, Moses got a special communication, and they don't like it. They wish it was them. So the real issue was growing jealous of Moses' position and influence. Now, since they could not find fault with the way Moses was leading the people, they chose to criticize his wife. It wasn't about his wife. They won't tell Moses the real reason, that they were jealous of his connection with God. You know, and they probably was wondering why God didn't choose me. You know, and so they made an excuse and made it like they got a problem with his wife. They don't have no problem with his wife. They made their excuse. So then to face the problem, deal with their pride, they chose to create a diversion from the real issue. And when you are in a disagreement and sometimes you are asked if we arguing over the real issue. And that's what the thing is. They're not arguing. They're arguing about the wife, but it's not about the wife. So they have pride and don't really want to tell Moses the real reason why they mad. You know. And so they argue about how Moses leading, but it's also seemed like they're jealous over Moses' wife. And and so the Lord spoken only through Moses, and they asked, hasn't he also spoken through us? Now Aaron did speak up now. Aaron said, and that's God speak to Moses, to Aaron and to the sister. They have two important positions. Prophecy and a priest. And the Lord heard. Why they is talking and criticizing God prophet, God hear. God hear everything they say. And so the man think they jealous of the connection Moses had with God. And God speak only with Moses. The sister stated that God don't speak to them. Yes, God do. God speak. He speak to the prophecy. He had to get in their dream, give them orders. So saying all this behind Moses' back, but God heard. And so they weighed in the witness on fault for Moses. Think Moses can't hear, but still God can hear. They're talking about God prophet, And so now Moses was a very humble man and more humble than anyone else on face of this earth. Now he is faithful in all his house, my house, and with the stewardship I have entrusted him. And so God said Moses is faithful. Down the line, we're going to hear that he more faithful, that he was unique, that nobody cannot take his space. Now, Moses, Joshua took his space after he died, but he still can't do it exactly like Moses. God built some people for a specific purpose. Even if somebody is good, they won't be able to do exactly like Moses. So at once the Lord had said to Moses and Aaron and the sister, come out to the tent of the meeting. All three of you. So three of them went out. Because see, God heard. And now God about to confront them while Moses right there. Because see, Moses don't know they're talking about in his own family. Criticizing and talking behind his back. And with their complaint, getting among the people and spreading, which might have been a bad consequences. But as they were pretty much disposing of murmuring, as also showed that it was not through the Lord had spoke. Now he was greatly provoked in high discipline displeased and set a meeting. God had to set a meeting. God had to set a meeting because I'm not going to have you talking about my prophet behind his back. We're going to talk about him in front of his face. Now we're going to set this meeting, and y'all going to stand right here. You see, most of them know what's going on right now. He's sitting up there, he wondered what my sister and brother did. What they did, but he about to see, because God have him standing right there, while he talked to the brother and the sister about a situation that they was concerned about Moses, how he running everything, and then another thing, they spread it public. So that's why God gonna deal with one of them public. They went spread it all over. Instead of going to Moses and have a talk with Moses. So then the Lord had came down in a pillar of cloud. Now he stood at the entrance of the tent and summoned Aaron and Miriam. And when the two of them had stepped forward, God came down from the pillar of cloud, which were over the most holy place of the tabernacle, a symbol of the presence of the Lord. God is our judge. He called them a court being held in the gate, to hear what they have to say. Is they gonna say what all that stuff that they were saying behind Moses' back? Is they gonna say it in front of his face? Because God is the judge, and he about to take a case right now. Would you stand forward and say what y'all was saying? And so hear what they have to say about their complaint, because they had a lot to say behind his back. Aaron and the sister stood before the Lord. Now, Aaron gonna admit that he was, talking outside his head, but the sister is so stubborn. God say, listen to my words. And when there is a prophet, God say, listen. He said, listen, let me tell you on my prophets, when my prophets among you, the Lord revealed myself to them in a vision. I speak to them in a dream. So in other words, God is saying when a prophet is among you, respect them. Moses' brother and sister tried to challenge Moses. They will try to challenge you. They will try to do better than what you can do, to please God. So Moses' authority, so the sister was trying to challenge Moses' authority. And there was complaint towards Moses' leadership. But this is not a true of my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. God trusts him in all his house, with everything. Because he saw the face, the back of him. He sit down and ate with God and everything, because God had trust him. God had set Moses over all Israel. Who were his house, his family, and chosen people. And Moses was faithful. So with him I speak face to face, clearly, and not in riddles. Now, he let them know, I don't talk in riddles when I talk to Moses. I talk to Moses clearly. Now he sees, the form of the Lord. So why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? Now God said, now Moses sees me. He saw my back. I'm always in communication with Moses, and I don't talk riddle. I make sure I'm clear. And all this here that why were you not scared? Why were you not afraid to talk about Moses? And so he reminded them that he had chosen Moses. He had to remind them, he chose Moses before he was born. He placed Moses. Moses was a star seed. Remember, with his mother, they wanted to kill all the boys. She placed him on that river to save him. She knew he was a special child. So Moses, as his representative to Israel, speaking face to face with Moses, and entrust him with all my houses. And God asked him, if you see that Moses have this connection with me, why not you are afraid to come against my servant Moses? Sometimes people take it for granted. They remember the last time they want to mess with his other prophet Elijah. And God said, go back. Go back. You ain't going nowhere. I still have more work for you to do. And sent him right back next to the people that wanted to kill him. Because he knew he was going to protect him. The same anger of the law burned against them. And he left them. God was, congregation where he stood. But as soon as he had given his testimony of Moses, he had good things to say about Moses, and impress his displeasure at Aaron and his sister. He departed from them. But when the clouds had lifted from above the tent, the sister's skin was leper. It became as white as snow. Aaron turned towards her and saw that she had defined skin disease. Due to the sister murmuring, so nobody didn't know what she was saying. No matter if you mumble, you talk low, God can still hear. And she mumbled. And she wasn't paying him no attention. And that's why he had put that stuff on her, because she had an attitude, reasoning with God, placing that on her, But Aaron apologized. He apologized, but his sister didn't. She was very, very stubborn. Now God anger, she suddenly, had departed. The Lord departure had cloud the withdrawal from over the tent. Behold, the sister was leper as white as snow. And he said to Moses, please, my Lord, I ask you not to hold against us the sin we have so foolish commit. So Moses, that go to show you, he is a righteous man. His own people. Sometimes your own people will come against you. And when God came against the sister man, Moses was a righteous man. And he still plead for his sister. Plead for his sister. And so God said, okay, I'm going to clear her. I'm going to clear her for so many days. But since she did this here public, she going to stand outside public until the time I say it's done. So Aaron admitted that he and his sister, had act foolish, action, and wrong thoughts and motive. And so they had the wrong motive. At least Aaron had admitted. He admitted that he had, instead of them criticizing, they should have helped, because Moses' father-in-law had to come and tell him a thing or two how to run that. He was trying to do everything by himself, and he had 2 million Israelites, and he was taking cases. So do not let her be like a stillborn infant coming from his mother womb. Now with her flesh have eaten away. The leper was as one day being shed out from an anger course with her brethren causing ceremony. defilement in the case of those who were brought into contact with him or her. So similar, to that which caused by touching a dead body. No, she was just like a dead body because the skin was peeling off of her. She couldn't go around nobody. She couldn't go in the temple. She couldn't even go home. And so Moses had cried out to the Lord, please God, heal my sister, please. She don't know what she was doing, Lord. So please heal her. Now we see blood is thicker than water. No matter what she said, he is a righteous man. He's still pleading for his sister. Now they talk behind his back. But when God struck her, with leper, Moses cried out for his sister. It wouldn't be for Moses cried out. She that leper power would have ate her. God rescued her, had a certain amount of time and healed her body. So Moses are pleading to God for his sister, even though she wanted his job. Even though, she criticized, Moses. But we see Moses still love his sister no matter what. The Lord replied to Moses, if her father had spit in her face, would she not have been in disgrace for 7 days? So confined her outside the camp for 7 days. She went public. So God saying, if her father would have smacked her in her face, she would have been confined. So God said, let her stay out there for 7 days. And after she can be brought back inside. Now God had punished her for smuggling attitude towards not only Moses' authority, but also to God. He struck her with the leprosy and then ordered her outside the camp for 7 days. Now, spitting in someone's face was considered the ultimate insult and sign of shame. Now, she figured she was mumbling and saying something about Moses or whatever she was mumbling about, had their attitude. God can hear. God is a spirit. You can mumble, you can talk low, you can try to hold your thought in the corner. God can hear. And she still had an attitude when Aaron said, forgive us, we was foolish. We don't know what we were saying, and just forgive us. But she still was standing up there looking mad and pouting and mumbling, And so the sister was confined outside the camp for 7 days, and the people did not move until she brought back. Now see, they love her because she not only a prophecy, she sang. And she also was like a counselor. She was always trying to talk to the ladies, and help them with this situation and stuff, So she does things like that. She was singing, have a beautiful voice. And then all of a sudden, she got a lot going on for herself. And some people can be like that and still be jealous. She had a prophecy. She had a good job, a good position. She sang. She had multiple gifts, and still jealous of Moses. So she had the people that stood outside long as she was outside because they loved her. So the sister did not admit that she was wrong. She still didn't admit she was wrong. And she's still holding on because of Moses' plea. So for coming against Moses. Now, the sister wanted Moses' job thinking that she can do it better. That was the whole thing about it. First she claimed that she was mad with his wife. And the whole thing was that Moses got a big position. And he got a connection with God, the high, mighty God. And then he running everything. And then the sister, She got a good position, but she mad with Moses because Moses' position big and he have that connection with God. And so God create that position for Moses. Moses a star seed. That position was for Moses. God built him for that. God built every last one of us for our purpose. So the position was for Moses only. So when he was old or he messed up, then he gonna pass it on to someone else. So after that, the people had left. The people had left and they camped in a desert. So God had punished her for for talking about Moses and spreading over the city. So God punished her to the public for 7 days outside the camp. So jealousy can boil over. The root of jealousy can boil over and take over your life. Now we see what happened to the sister. Sometimes a person can have a high power position, and still be questioning that they can do it better. They can, and she probably could. They probably, anybody probably can do somebody's job better. But then that job is positioned for that person. So we see that both have power, position from God. God give these people position. God give these people gift. Now God still speak to them and give them vision to give them instruction what to do. But they want to be the leader of the thing, the sect. They want the position. They want God to call on them. But God said, I speak to them. I be in their vision. I have to give them instruction. That's not good enough. They want to be the center of the attention. The sister is a prophecy. The brother is a priest. Now he in charge as a priest because his sons is a priest, but they under him. She the only woman. It's a prophecy. Nobody else, is not a prophecy. She the only one. So she got that high position as a woman. She was the first woman of prophecy. And Aaron is the priest over his sons. And so the sister and Aaron saw a way that God is using. So they figure God is using Moses. We got to step in. They don't think God is using Moses. Because if God would have said, you go ahead and take the position, they would have took the position. But they're saying since Moses had the position, they think God using him. So what they thought Moses had a closer relationship with God, and they wanted to be what he was. That was the whole thing. And he who would, God actually had talked to Moses face to face. Now he had a unique role. Moses is history. Didn't know that. Moses is unique. He had a unique role in history, that no one else had ever played Moses. But the sister and Aaron had unique roles also, and they made history too. God used all three in wonderful ways. All of us have gifts. God gave all us gifts. All of us have purpose. All three of them had a purpose. God used all three of them in wonderful ways. But Aaron wrote, aligned to the speaker for Moses. You remember, he came along because Moses don't speak well. So he came along. He was a speaker for Moses, and then God turned around and gave him another position as a priest. So, He got two promotions. He got a promotion. So in a high priest, God give him his own position as a high priest. God give him his own and then a sister. The sister can sing. That's a gift. She was singing and praising her way, deserving, and then God had give her her own position. Cause see, she was singing. So God, God gave us a gift. But see, God, we have to find our own gift. Since God saw that she found her gift and she using it, singing to the prophet, you know, I'm gonna let her know. Okay, your gift is singing. Turned around, get her another promotion. Okay, you're a prophecy because she was going around talking, encourage them and stuff like that. That's how she become a real prophet. See, God watch us. He give us a purpose, before we were born. But as we get older, God watch what we do. And he said, okay, she got another purpose. Okay, let me stamp this here on it. And that's what he did with them. He kept giving them promotions and stuff. But her way, so the first female prophet, you know, so then both start having connection with God. Connection with God. Both not like, having with Moses, and so both have different gifts from Moses than Moses. And Moses have amazing gift. All gifts are still being used by God. It's still being used by God. You still have connection. God might not talk to everyone. He might get in that person's dream. He might get in that person's vision. But you still can have a connection with God, through prayer. But they both were still jealous and allowed their negativity feelings to affect their position with God. And so Moses and Aaron was compared their work towards Moses, thinking that they, can do it better. And that's what God don't want us to do. Don't want us to be in competition with nobody. Don't want us to feel like we can do it better. Because when he chose that person, regardless of how good you are, he was chosen. Sometimes people think they can do it better. And once see when a person is built for that, when they're gifted gifted for that, they run through it like nothing. Like a lot of people say. So people think can get in my shoes and do what I do. It's more than just that. They won't last. So we can't say that person might be doing it and may look so easy. But Joe looking on the outside. So sometimes people might think it, and so Joe looking on the outside of things when Moses, had a big job. He had to lead 2 million people, to their promised land. So we have to realize the gift we have, we can't compare it to no one else. We can't compare it with nobody else. We have to carry our own load, and act for help when needed. And so all we have to work, we have to work for God. All the work that we done in the body of Christ, we doing it for God. So whenever we fall short or we feel like we need help, we can pray to God, and trust me, God will send the right people to you. And you might think it's a coincidence. I was just thinking about I need some help, and here goes somebody. That because God sent somebody. Because you prayed and told God to send you somebody. And so and then we got to get discernment and make sure that's the right person God sent. So do not let jealousy kick in. It will burn over and end up in God's lap. And see how that was? They was yapping and yapping and criticizing Moses, and it ended up in God's lap. God said, "Come on, you got to have this meeting. You got to have this meeting. You're coming and see." Moses don't even know what's going on, and he had to go along with it too. And so they went against Moses' authority, on how he was running things, and jealousy of close family, close relationship, he had to deal with. That we all can have a relationship with God. All can have a relationship with God. They didn't have now in the New Testament, Jesus Jesus was teaching on prayer. Jesus was telling them, now, we can pray to God and have our own relationship, you know. And so that's a story on Moses have a big purpose on this life. And his brother and sister got mad because every time you look around, he communicating with God. Why he communicating with God? Why he don't never talk to us? You know, uh, because Moses, God had called Moses. That was Moses' position. That was Moses' goal. Moses' purpose. You know, that was his purpose from David, from birth. So when Abraham died, you know, and when Joseph died, that's when God had to. That's when Joseph died. I just put that out earlier, yesterday. When Moses died, that's when God had to come up with a plan with Moses, which it was in plan, but then it was time for us to come to light. That's why when they wanted to kill all them boys, they couldn't kill all them boys. One of them boys was Moses. So that's all the story I have on today. And we talk about the Flint water crisis. And hopefully we will want them to get on the alignment, get on the same page, and try to get this water fixed. And by the end of this year, it should be fixed and should have clean water, because this been dragging along since 2014, and now we in 2024. And so when we talked about the release of the hostages, make sure we doing a prisoner exchange, prisoner exchange, and then we give them money, so that's all I have for you today. Y'all have a nice and blessed and safe day, and I see y'all in the next video.